So where were we? We were talking about, this incredible love, that is what you really are. And this sense of unworthiness that so many of us feel. And so when we're thinking, so it's that which we're consciously aware of, and that which is unconscious and resides there. And it feels to me like the body is a communication device. It's the point of it. And it's a way to hear your unconscious. But what happens is sadness, guilt, shame, grief, anger, fear, they don't feel very nice in the body. They kind of suck, actually, for many of us. And so what we do is, where they don't feel very nice, is we kind of then have this, like, those things aren't okay, and then we've labelled those things as bad, those emotions as bad, and then other emotions as good. And then we do everything we can to avoid feeling those negative emotions. And the first thing I want to share with you is they're not negative and positive, they're just emotions. And if we could remove some of the labels and allow ourselves to experience, everything moves, and everything which has kind of been held or is blocked, it just dissipates. And when I was doing my shiatsu training, we were doing a breathing exercise one day, and it was this sort of kind of deep but rapid, like a fast, rapid breath. So we start doing this breath, and I just felt this panic come up on me. Panic, anxiety, there are other feelings that we just don't want to go near. So I felt this panic coming up. And I instantly stopped the breathing thing, even though they told us to carry on with it, I stopped. And then when we'd done that first round, we shared our experiences, and I said, I felt this panic, so I stopped. And my teacher said, well, look, we're going to do it again, so just try and stay with it if you can. You're perfectly safe, in this environment. So I thought, okay, right, well, I'll try and do that then. Anyway, as I was breathing, I felt the panic come, but I kept doing the breathing. And all of a sudden, a memory surfaced, and I remembered that when I'd been in hospital, after I'd come off the respirator, I had an oxygen mask. And one day the nurses were rolling me to change the sheets, and they rolled me over and the mask fell off, and I panicked and I thought I was going to die because I couldn't breathe. And actually I was fine. I mean, the nurse was great. She just said, you're fine, take a breath, and then gave me the mask back, and I was fine. But I realised it was almost like that memory was held in my body, and that emotion was held in my body. That panic and fear was still in there. And simultaneously, as that memory arose, I also just had this, I'm going to call them insights, or I guess we call them insights or revelations. To me, they're like a thought which just drops into appears in my mind, is the best way I can say it, or appears in that stream of thought, wherever it is, that is incredibly insightful. So this, and it also, I don't know if you've had those, but they arrive to me with a sense of knowing. It has this sense of truth about it. So this thought popped in, and that actually emotions are just energy. Everything is just in this flow. Life is in this flow of incredible energy, and the emotions are just part of that. And it's like that, they're communication tools for us. They just show us things. We're afraid, we're sad, we're angry. But where we then label that thing as a way that we don't want to be as a human being, spirituality is one of the worst, to me, it's like one of the hardest things to get over, this sense that I should be loving. And then we try so hard to be loving, yet in the moment I feel angry about something, then I deny that because no, I should be loving and I shouldn't be angry. There is no shoulds and shouldn'ts. They're just emotions, they're just energy, they're just flow. They're just showing you something in that moment. And often it's not even about that moment. What they're actually revealing is something from the past which you have not fully allowed to process within you. And so it keeps kicking up, kicking up, kicking up. So this insight came, and it really struck me as like, wow, can I just be then? Can I just, let these things be, just experience these things? And since then, there's several people I've worked with anxiety, and one of them is just like, just to be with that, just to, it's a horrible feeling, anxiety, isn't it, as it arises. It's prickly and contracting and, it feels horrible. But if you can just be and just breathe, and one of the things I love is that profound curiosity. There's a guy called what's he called? Todd Kashdan. He does positive psychology stuff, and I love it because this is, the whole happiness thing. We want to be happy, happy, happy all the time. It's like, no, that's rubbish. We can't be happy all the time. We're human beings having a human experience. And within that is this whole plethora of different emotions. And they're all part of the experience. And that actually, one of the things he said, I loved it, he said, you can't always be happy, but you can always be profoundly curious. And I loved that because that's one of the things that I'd started to use myself and share with other people was, hey, what if you were just curious about that? That you wanted to explore it, that you were going to invite the experience, and you weren't going to try and get rid of it or push it away or change it. And you see, this is often what we do, I think, with the emotions is, I don't know, say I feel sad, that starts to come up, it feels horrible, and so what I try and do is change it. I want to be happy instead because that feels nicer. So I'm instantly into resistance of that thing. Now, if I can just let it be, it will magically just dissipate and move, and I'm in the flow of life and different things happen. And I remember when I split up with my husband, and I was so sad about it. I'd messed it up. This is the love that kind of, when I was saying you can't receive the love because you don't feel you're good enough, so you do some stupid crazy stunt on the outside that begins to push it away from you. And I felt so sad, and it was awful. It's just awful, and I just wanted to be anything but sad. But one day I woke up and I thought, I'll just be sad. I'll just be sad forever if that's how I'm going to be forever, and I really don't care. I don't care anymore. And maybe that's just how it is. And for me, there's this state of acceptance. And what we need to be really careful is there's layers here. There's layers of an intellectual idea, and then there's where that drops into how do I describe this? Hang on, I'm going to get this right. So I want you to become aware of the fact that there's often an intellectual idea about something where you think you know, and then there's this other sense of what I'll call knowing. So maybe we could call those an idea about something and a knowing about something. And I'm sure you've experienced this. And so what I'd seen was there was an idea that I might have. So for example, when I talk about acceptance of something, to me the idea of acceptance is that, I accept it. But actually somewhere you still want to change it a bit. The energy is different. There's not a... Now to me, full acceptance, like the sadness thing, it wasn't like being... And also that idea of acceptance is when you're resigned to something. So whereas to me this full acceptance is where you don't mind if that thing stays like it forever. There's no desire to change it. It just is what it is. And you're fine with it. Not fine with it, but really fine with it. And so anyway, this morning I woke up and I thought, well, hey, I'll just be sad. That's okay. Well, by the evening I was fine. And it was amazing. So it just amazes me just to invite those things and to stop resisting them and just allow the experience of them. So powerful. So, so powerful.